This is Sunrise Daily. It's April the 16th, it's Thursday morning, 9 o'clock, and 29 degrees here in Lagos. Oh, by the way, I should let you know, here in Lagos, at least in my part of Lagos, the rains were very heavy this morning. Cooler, isn't it? Amaya Makine, welcome to the show.
I mean, it's been raining. It's 27 degrees right here in the nation's capital. I'm Kayla Megwa. Welcome to your daily dose of sunshine, even though we've heard that there wouldn't be a lot of sunshine in the next few days. Hey, but welcome to the program. How are you? How's your morning going? How are you feeling today? How's Nigeria treating you? Well, we're going to be talking about how Nigeria is treating all of us. But Ayo, I hear our children are getting ready to write some very crucial exams.
If they haven't already started as at this time, Kayla, because according to JAM, they adjusted the arrival time from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. for all the students. And the schedule also says that the exams will start at exactly 8:30. It's 9:01 now, so expectedly they would have started at about 30 minutes ago. If you are in that environment and you have any recent information about it, please reach us on X at Sunrise Daily Now. You can send that information to us just so we know, and then we can update JAM. And in case JAM has an understanding of what's going on, we probably might be able to tell. We understand that it's in 4 sessions, and but there's something that's essential to mention, Kayla, about today's JAM, and that's the fact that the police noted there were some threats by some people, and they dismissed the threats, but in order not to make it sound like nothing is being done, they have deployed what they call tactical units all across all JAM exam locations all over the country, just to ensure that nothing untoward happens here and there. And that is a good thing. But some educationists are also asking that JAM should not just assure, but ensure that the CBT centers are actually as active as they should be, and the needful needed to be done. Yes, I remember that we have had a conversation with the registrar of JAM, Professor Ishak, about all of the things that they have done. And he has, of course, assured us on this program that there is nothing for anyone to worry about, nothing to fear. Everything is going to go well and good. And we expect that. But don't also forget that as the African parents say, when the bird has learned not to fly without perching, the hunter has also learned to shoot without missing. So it's a catch-22 on both sides. And I'm hoping that this will not just be an experience for JAM, it will be a learning platform, a learning avenue for all of us, particularly in the education sector in the country. Educationists are being iffy about it. They are expressing caution. JAM has given assurance. Well, I guess after today, Kayla, we might be able to tell how well we did.
I mean, it's a different country, isn't it, Ayo? The concept of having police and security around while you're writing exams. But hey, it is just the reality of the country that we're in right now. So if our security agencies have noted some threats, it's only natural that deployments will be made, and we would expect those deployments to be made to keep our children safe. It's a very crucial exam, entering into the next phase of your life. I mean, I feel for everyone who's writing exams right now, especially in these harsh times. But hey, it is what it is. Security is deployed around JAM centers. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of videos, the same as last year, when things don't go very well. So yes, feel free. If something is going wrong in your center, if something has happened, make sure you inform the appropriate authorities. And yes, put it online. I know people give social media a bad rap, but put it online. Let's get, because you remember last year with the irregularities that happened, it was all of the outcry online that got the JAM registrar to be able to speak up and say this is what we're going to do differently. So we're in a different year, and if things are not going well, or even if they are going well, let's be able to communicate and know exactly what's going on. So to everyone who's writing exams, to all the parents whose children are writing exams, I know your nerves are racking right now. but you know, it's going to be all right. Everybody's going to be fine. So get your good results ready and get ready for the next phase of your life. Now, speaking of security, is going to be our first conversation this morning. The rising insecurity. The Arawa Consultative Forum are raising concerns about security. In fact, they have declared Nigeria to be in a state of war. Now, do with that what you will. What do you think about that? Are we in a state of war? And that, among other issues, will be what we're discussing this morning. Our guest is already on Zoom. He's joining us from Kaduna State, Yerima Shetima, who's the convener of the Northern Stakeholder Consultative Initiative and also a senatorial aspirant for Kaduna Central for the All Progressives Congress. Mr. Yerima, thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Good morning, Kayla. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Are we in a state of war? Do you agree?
It's not story. There are a lot of problems in other part of the country as regards to the situation as it stands today. It has always been there. It's not new. And to an extent, I must commend the Nigerian Armed Forces in recent times. They have come out all boldly and trying to put down all of this mess in recent times. So we must continue to encourage the government, encourage the Nigerian Armed Forces for doing a good job recently, and it has always been there. It's not new here.
But a state of war, some people will take issue with the Arawa Consultative Forum using that phrase, a state of war. And that's what I need you to clarify for me. Does the Northern Stakeholders Consultative Initiative, do you agree with the Arawa Consultative Forum that we are in a state of war? And if we do, what war is it?
In all honesty, what is happening today is not different from what was obtained in the last few years ago. And this problem has been there for almost 15 years now. And lately, we must commend the government of the day that have put a lot of resources on ground, and work is ongoing. For us, is a war. It has always been there, but I also know that lately, there are certain pockets of attacks here and there in the northeast and northwest and some other part of the country, especially in other part of this country where we are. But the fact of the matter still remains is not story, because oftentimes when we are around the electionary period, you continue seeing things like this. Is not new to us in other part of the country for the last 15 years. So if they made mention of war, of course, we are in a war for a very long time, but we must also commend the government of the day. The government of the day has been doing wonderful. And don't forget that all of this is being inherited by the same government from the last government.
Let's talk a bit about that statement you made right now, where, and it's something we've heard a lot of people say. In fact, I heard the Senate president say it recently. He said, in fact, the way he put it, he said, 2 weeks after the elections, just watch, there will be no more insecurity in the country. Almost as though he's linking the insecurity that we face in the country with the political season, says, and you've mentioned that as well, that it's heightened during the political season. Could you talk to us about that? And if that's true for you, why does that happen?
The truth of the matter is that some people are cashing on this very period to heighten tensions for the fact that some of them are becoming more desperate by the day to cause more confusion so that they can find their way. And some people rely on it to also survive. So those things are always there for us. It's not new. That's the honest truth. Even though the case of the Senate president has been misquoted, I understand what happened. And the story out there was that Nigerians should be patient. We have to face this until after election before the government will address the issue. And that is what is put before the public space. And I'm sure that is not what he said. No, I don't hold any brief for him, but that's the truth. The government must have to buckle up and get this thing done. It's possible we can overcome all of these challenges, and the government would have envisaged that once we are in an electionary period like this, certainly there will be tensions and a lot of things will happen. So, but I have no doubt in my mind, we shall overcome all of this challenge.
Well, you said that the government needs to sit up. You're in the north.
And do more. And do more. They are doing it, but they need to do more.
Where is the ball being dropped, in your view? What isn't being addressed, in your view, that has allowed this war that you said has gone on for so long to continue, in your view? What is not being done?
The government must have a political will to address the issue, must be very determined to address one of these, this quagmire we find ourselves, until we begin to look at those who are even the sponsors of these things and bring them to book. And the government must be very decisive. Anybody who is found wanting, nobody should be allowed to go unpunished. People must face people must take responsibility. That's just it. So for me, it's not new to us here in northern part of the country, but I knew certainly with the arrangement ongoing under Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I strongly believe that something will be done drastically very, very soon. And I believe so.
We've been seeing a lot of terrorists being, well, alleged terrorists, going through trial and all of that. There have been criticisms about what we're looking at when it comes to the people that have been arrested for terrorism in the country. It feels like it's the small boys. Where are the major sponsors? Well, the federal government took their time to release a list of sponsors. On this program, we talked about the list. Kudos for releasing the list of terrorism sponsors, but we don't know who they are. As you wrote their names, I said, personally, I wish there were pictures attached to the people who were these terrorism financiers. What's your take on that list of terrorism financiers that was released by the government? And do you think that maybe they should have released pictures on those names so that we'll know exactly who the government is looking at when it comes to terrorism financing?
Well, this is the area where I'm talking about the determination on the part of the government to do it and come out to address this issue, because it's a major threat to our national security. I wonder why they will continue hiding the faces of these characters and at the same time they are not being brought to book. I wonder whose interest is that. And that's why I'm talking about the determinations. Somebody somewhere must take responsibility. Somebody somewhere must damn all the consequences and bring those characters to book. By so doing, I assume and I believe strongly it will bring down this issue drastically. They should be dealt with decisively. Nobody is above the law, no matter how highly placed anybody is. So I'm of the view that the government must be determined. There's nothing to worry. There's nothing to fear. They should be brought to book if the government really meant well. It has always been the same story here and there. So person is involved, who have not seen anybody being dealt with. And those are the names already before the public space. So we should unmark their faces, and the government must be all out to deal with them. Nobody's above the law. So I'm of the view that the government must be very decisive.
Unmasking the faces on those lists of names that we're looking at on TV right now, designated terror financiers. So we can move this war to the next level. But just so we can get an idea of what the Arawa Consultative Forum is saying, so number one, they're saying that Nigeria is in a state of all-out war. All right, so let's be clear on that. They're saying insecurity has escalated beyond routine governance into a full war, threatening Nigeria's continued existence as a nation. And they're talking about the scale and the spread of violence as well. These are the major concerns highlighted by the Arawa Consultative Forum. Insurgency in the northeast, banditry, mass kidnapping across northwest and north central, persistent intercommunal clashes, violent herder-farmer clashes. And of course, there's a human cost. Hundreds of thousands killed or displaced in Borno, Plateau, Niger, Kwara, and other states. A large number of armed forces personnel dead, including very senior military officers. Families shattered, livelihoods destroyed, entire generations traumatized. And then there's the economic collapse that is linked to insecurity. The agriculture in the north is severely under threat, and you're in Kaduna State. I remember that whole belt. There's a belt between Kaduna and Plateau, and I'll never forget it. It used to smell like ginger, because the ginger farming was a mainstay in those communities. The conversations we're hearing right now is that those farms are not being cultivated. Not a lot of people have the confidence to go back into farming, and we are a farm nation. And then, of course, there's the supply chains that have been disrupted, worsening the inflation that we're dealing with as a country. Rural communities collapsing. The longer this crisis persists, the more expensive it becomes to fix. And they're saying government priorities are wrong, and that's where I'm coming to you. The Area Consultative Forum is saying that security is still threatened, still being treated rather, as one issue among many, and that the government doesn't have its priorities together if they're going to handle this. What are your thoughts on the priorities of government? The president, and you're a member of the APC. You're a member of the APC. Your president, the president has been criticized for taking all of his intelligence and putting it into politicking, But when it comes to governance and security, we're not seeing that same sagacity showing in those areas. Do you agree with that? And what do you make of this particular issue about the government's priorities being wrong?
Ella, don't forget that we are in a very dicey situation as it stands today. It's not just all about politics. It is a reality on ground. Don't forget, this problem was there long before now. And also, you don't expect the present administration in less than 3 years to just perform a miracle, or in 3 years to make a miracle of a problem that has been there for over time. We had opportunity where we have one of our own here as a president from Northwest here, who has also done his own part of the job. He hasn't rounded up. He left with the same problem on ground. And don't forget, this is part of the gimmicks oftentimes come to the fore when there are elections around the corner. Don't forget, this was the same gimmicks that was applied to send Jonathan away in power. And this was the same script being played. You know, we are quick to forget things. So that's why I'm saying this story is not new. Yes, there's a problem. Nobody will deny that. Nobody will argue that there are problems. I'm also saying that the government must also look at what has happened in the last election. That was in 2014-15. It was the same situation we found ourselves. And they used it to remove the government at that time. You have people who believe this is a business at the expense of people's life. And this must not be allowed to go unchecked. Government must be very decisive and determined to bring people to book and deal with them decisively. I do not believe that this problem, the government is overwhelmed. Something is fishing somewhere, and something must be done drastically. And I strongly believe that the government of the day has done a lot. Things are ongoing. We all, issue of governance must not be seen to be the sole real responsibility of the president. The governors must also be responsible. Apart from the governors, even citizens themselves must also contribute. They must come to the fore and give certain informations for us to get it right. So it's a collective thing. Everybody is involved in this. It's a script.
A script.
So we must all be out. It's not about politics. It's not about APC or whatever party you call again. What matters is that we must look at it. All of us must be seen to accept that this is reality. And all of us must be seen to participate to ensure that this issue becomes our past. Everybody must contribute.
A script that is being written, in your view, to take President Bola Tinubu out of office.
In the last few months ago, this issue is gradually gone down
as well.
Recently. Exactly.
Who is writing the script?
Some people are so desperate that by any means they must come to power. And as such, at the expense of people's life, they will do things to cause more confusion so that they will find their way into the corridors of power. And this must not be allowed to continue.
All right. My colleague in Lagos has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you very much, Kayla. So it's interesting that this alarm being raised, even from the statement of the ACF, there are a consultative forum. It's a northern group interested in the affairs of Nigeria, no doubt, but a northern group raising a lot more concern about things happening in northern Nigeria. And we have heard northerners, such as yourself, say something like, look, the president of the day is just going to be looking at us and laughing. And a northern leader was saying it. I can't quite remember his name and the location now, but I think it was in an interview that he was granting. That, look, the top leaders in the security apparatus of the country at the time were all northerners. So what excuse do we have as northerners not to be able to deal with this issue? Now, we have political leaders in the north. We have governors in the north. And we have heard governors in the north tell us that they know the people perpetrating these crimes. So I ask you, with these concerns being raised by the ACF, what are the expectations? What can the leaders in the north do? Northeast, North Central, Northwest, what can they do? What can the governors do? Or are we totally helpless? We hear from time to time that these people are not unknown. So, in your opinion, what exactly is happening that these so-called known criminals cannot be brought to book?
Well, I wish I have an answer to that, but that's just the problem. The determination is what they are lacking, most of them, to address issues the way it is drastically and do it the way it is. We must accept the realities that people are bent on destroying this country. We must accept the realities that people are suddenly become enemies of this country, and as such, all hands must be on deck to deal with these characters. These characters are there, they are close to us, and some of us even knew them. But the government will have to do something about it. That's just the honest truth. It's just a problem for the country, and those people must be treated as enemies of this country.
We have state governments as well. We have a good number of state governors in the north, and according to the federal government, even the governors themselves say they get a lot more resources now than they were getting before, both at the federal and local, at the state and local levels. So when you say government, what government needs to do what?
Both of them have responsibility. The state government must have to collaborate with the federal government to get it right. This issue must not be left alone in the hands of the president. The governors also have a role to play here. And also the community, the local governments, and the local people must also come forward to give certain informations, to get these people right down. That's exactly it. It's just all-inclusive. All hands must be on decks. I repeat, all hands must be on decks, and there must be determination on the part of our leaders to address this issue. There's no way people will just relax and assume that the government is being overwhelmed unless the government lacks the will to address the issues. But if I determine these are issues that can be addressed in less than 2-3 months,
so
those people are human beings, they are not spirits.
It adds to the confusion of many Nigerians, particularly my northern brothers and sisters. You say that these things can be done within 2-3 months. And you are not the first person to say it, and so many other people have said it. It sounds to me that for everyone who is saying it, they know something Nigerians don't know. And a good number of people are either hoarding that information or don't want to be the first to say it. Are you one of those people? Because if we know what the problem is, and it will seem like the security forces are not doing what they are supposed to do, then it sounds like maybe we are also aiding and abetting, though passively.
Well, the truth of the matter is that, like I've earlier said, and I'll continue to say the same thing, there must be will and determination on the part of the government. And at the end of the day, the armed forces must be seen to be up to it, though there are lapses in some areas where I also understand that there are certain welfare and there are certain things the armed forces will also need to do to get it right. The government must be seen to provide for them, let them do the needful.
We have heard, okay, let's speak to specifics of some issues that have been raised by security forces, including the military. Both the kinetic and non-kinetic have been attempted and all, but then we have heard that one, particularly from a former, I think it was the same, is the current Minister of Defense, who said it while still in the military, that, look, the military can only do as much. But social issues such as unemployment, poverty, lack of jobs and all of those things, the absence of social security for people, they are things that foment the activities of the criminals in these areas. Now, I would say, and I don't know if you agree, and a good number of people have said that as well, these issues, three specific things in particular, lie largely in the hands of state governments to be able to do their best to eradicate poverty, a situation where farmers cannot go to work. We can't say that's the federal government. We have local authorities. Back in time, local authorities did a lot in these, so it would sound like maybe the state governments themselves aren't doing what they're supposed to do. In your opinion, if we are going to deal with poverty at the state level, and we're going to deal with unemployment, and we're going to deal with a lack of social security protection for the people, what do state governments need to do? Please be specific.
It's exactly what I was talking about, that it has to be jointly, it's all-inclusive. The federal has a role to play, but don't forget, you also say it, that the kind of money that comes even to the state in recent time has never been experienced in recent times. They see a lot of money in their hands, so it means they have to take responsibility. They have to do right, because I just can't imagine that the kind of money these state governments get in their allocations, and yet we still have this challenge of issue of unemployment, issue of poverty. Our farmers can no longer go to farms and so on and so forth. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So for me, I'm of the view that everybody must take responsibility. Not only the president, but also the governors must also be seen to also compound our problems.
How would you respond to those who think that Northerners are playing to the gallery when you come on air, you tell us there is a problem, you tell us something needs to be done, and we are not sure exactly what you're saying?
How do you mean?
For instance, we have asked now, how do you expect state governments, as a Northerner, as someone who has interest in these issues, and who has also suffered something, well, because when you hear that people in your environment are dying or are being killed or are being attacked, something unsettles inside you. So in the area of eradication of poverty, specifically, what are the things you would expect any state governments to do?
Under these circumstances where we're already into a major threat of issue of poverty ravaging our people, where there's unemployment, of course, you also will agree with me, issue of insecurity is inevitable. So the government must also go down, get to the people. Local government must be fronting so that people can begin to work. Then also the communities themselves will have to come to the fore and do the needful by sharing certain information to the armed forces, the security agencies, so that at the end of the day, this issue can be brought down. It is possible. Don't forget, a few months ago, we have come to almost ending of this issue. Until recently, when we're already approaching the electionary period, is when you begin to see all of these things coming up.
Are you saying that this is also, are you saying that some of these things are political?
They are very much political. I can tell you that. I can tell you that they are very much political, because we have certain class of people in the country who believes that they must come to power by any means, by any way, and this must not be allowed to go unchecked. This was the same script that was played in 2013, 2014, that crashed down Jonathan government. And I hope our leaders, present leaders, must also realize the implication of what is going on.
All right, now you said something now. You talked about giving information to security agencies. Now, there are those who we have heard that there are some communities that are afraid to give information to security agencies for fear of a reprisal by their attackers. That has happened in this country before. So the trust quotient is rather low in recent time. How do you see us shoring up that trust quotient between the government and between the people and security agencies, so that such that when people give information to security agencies, they are safe? Speak from a social perspective. What perspective the Nigerian needs to have about security agencies, and what security agencies need to understand about the people?
This is where the issue of decentralizing the security forces become very, very important, very fundamental. And I've always been an advocate of decentralizing the security. To say that, of course, in recent time, we have seen the government also working towards what we expected as regards to the issue of community policing, or call it state policing. We need it so that this information, this gathering, can also be a thing that within the communities and those people around them that starting with responsibility of security, it will flow. But when you begin to have a situation where you only have a central command of security, where people cannot flow, they see a person coming to their community as a total stranger, of course you expect that there's always going to be this sentiments and so on and so forth. But when you bring security, the issue of security, down to the people at the local level, of course, you can be rest assured that people will flow and will get it right. And I commend the government of the day. Successive government have not even find it fit to come to the fore and accept the realities that we need all of this until when Tinubu came today to take the mantle of leadership. And here we are today, we are talking about state policing and so on and so forth. So I strongly believe the government have a very good intention to address some of these issues. And we will get there. You don't expect, it's not a rocket science, you expect that over a night we overcome our challenges. No, it's a process. So I believe with what we are seeing on ground, the strategy and the method being applied, it will come to pass. But we must be seen to be very serious, especially at this period now.
I'm looking at your politics in Kaduna State. You have declared to run for the Senate, and you want to represent Kaduna Central. But you've been talking about the concept of anointed candidates. Let's get what's really going on there. Is there someone who people are saying is the anointed candidate, and you don't think you're going to get the ticket for the APC to run in the Senate in 2027?
Well, we had heard the rumor. It's rumor. Nobody is sure of it. But sometimes when you get a rumor, you began to be worried because where we are is very sensitive and very serious issue. All of us are of the view that we will give all the support we need to support this government of the day under Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we also intend to go side by side to work alongside with the governor to ensure that we get it right and ensure that we key into the team properly. But in an area where certain rumors keep flying around that there are certain interests that have been anointed by the president, of course, that will spell doom to the government. That will also not be good for our party as an APC. So some of us had to raise alarm, and I commend the party at the national level that took a decisive measures to announce that there is no any another candidate that people will be allowed to go. There are only two options, either through consensus or through direct primaries, and those are the by law, those are the identifies means of going about the processes of the primaries. So for me, I am glad to hear from the national body of the party, and we are glad to hear from the state, and I think this must always be seen to be in uniform all over the country. By so doing, I think we have no cause to get worried, and it will be very massively we'll get it right. But when we began to assume that some people are more better than others in the party and begin to force people at the expense of collective interest of the people without allowing the popular candidate to emerge, of course, you can be rest assured the implication is that the party will become very unpopular, and even the president will find it very tough to survive. And that's our fear. So we raise the alarm not because we are targeting any individual, but we raise the alarm because we believe strongly that is what the situation. And only a few days ago also, the Kaduna State chapter of the APC also came up with a strong statement, and we are comfortable with that, and people should be allowed to go and exercise their rights. If they are defeated, final good, they will go home peacefully without any problem, and they will ensure they support whoever emerges when it is transparent, when it's clear and very transparent processes. So I'm of the view that people should be allowed, not only in Kaduna and every part of the country, everybody must be allowed to exercise his rights by coming out.
Yeah, Mr. Shetima, what you're saying right now, as we wrap up, is lending to the conversation where a lot of you who are members of the APC, there are people who've been saying you're not as comfortable as you look. You're not as happy as you present yourself. Some people have said that many of you in the APC, hold on a second, are dealing with the fact that their national interests, they are going to be clashing with your personal interests. There's also the fact that your ranks have swollen. So you have a lot of interest inside your party. That was the fear. People thought that a lot of people like yourself will be swallowed up in these swollen ranks. And how will the party be able to cater for you, the new entrants, the national interest? Are you comfortable with the party right now?
I am comfortable. Kella, you see, sometimes when you perceive certain things that may likely not go well, there's nothing wrong in raising alarm so that the leaders will also look into the matters seriously. Don't forget that the president himself is a product of struggle, is a pro-democrat. Don't forget my governor also is a pro-democrat, and all of them believe so much in democracy. And of course, I know anything they will do within their reach to strengthen our institutions democratically, they will do it. So I have no doubt in my mind they will do justice to it. And I thank God I was even with my governor yesterday, and we have an extensive discussions as regards to this issue. And he assured me of free and fair processes that will lead us to the primaries without having any anointed candidate. And I believe in him seriously. He's one guy I'm so proud of as my governor, and I believe in his words. So we look forward to that day. I will do all we can to ensure that we support the government of the day, we support the president to get it right.
All right. Convener, Northern Stakeholders Consultative Initiative, senatorial aspirant, Kaduna Central under the APC, Mr. Yerima Shetima. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you, Kelamegwa. Thank you, Ayo. God bless you all.
We're going to short break, and when we come back, we've got quite a lot of things to talk about. The state of our nation, the ADC, the PDP, the INEC chairman, the accountability question. Laulu Akonde joins us next. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Mr. Laulu Akonde joins us with his coffee. I've got mine here as well. And we have quite a lot to talk about. Thank you so much, Mr. Laulu Akonde, former presidential aide and presenter of Inside Sources.
Thank you.
I will not tell people what we call the program here. We'll just give it that. Thank you so much, Mr. Laulu.
Thank you so much.
Who will tell the president that when all political parties are decimated, that his legitimacy becomes questioned?
Okay, that sounds like a wild question.
That's what you say. Who will tell the president?
Well, you know, I think that it is becoming clearer and clearer that if we want our democracy to thrive, there are times when we have to look beyond the partisan. And some of the points that I have tried to make, Kayla, is that look, there will always be wranglings among our politicians. Okay. But when it comes to the question of the democratic space, we must find a united voice to say that we don't want a constraining of the democratic space. And that is why I have said before, and I'd like to say it again, that INEC must not become a tool in the constriction, in the constraining of the democratic space. And so INEC has to be very careful the way it manages the issues when it comes to how it treats the vibrant opposition parties. You can't be careless in the way you manage them, because if you are careless, then you're probably going to say that Nigerians don't have a right to choose.
You know, we had a media chat yesterday with the APC national chairman and the national secretary, Mr. Ajibola Bashir, and what he said. There's something he said that was very pointed. We brought up the idea of, look, are you sending moles into political parties to destabilize those places? They say they are not. And we said, but it's a little difficult for us to believe you, because we have people from other political parties who are saying that they are supporting your candidate. It's hard for me to believe that they're not on your payroll. And then he said something. He said, we cannot create a department of management of opposition parties in the APC. If they do not get their house together, they do not obey the rules of court. And he noted the fact that there's something that says you should stay in one place right now, and all of you are busy doing convention. When this is nullified, is it also the APC that caused this? Is this what's going on? Is this a situation where parties are unable to sort themselves out, or is there an active movement by the Tinubu administration to bring us into a one-party state?
Very important question. But let's first of all straighten it out that a political party having moves in another political party is regular stuff. You know, it does happen. There are APC moves in ADC, and I can bet that there are ADC moves in the APC. You know, and we even have the case of a very open mole, which is Nyesom Wike. Nyesom Wike is an open mole. Everybody knows that is representing APC in PDP. So that's not the problem that we have. And that's what I meant when we say that there will always be rankings.
If you're open, are you a mole? Mole's hide.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said open mole, and I put, you know, inverted commas. You know, but the point is that those kinds of wranglings will always happen. Okay, what shouldn't happen is denying Nigerians of an opportunity for a vibrant choice in the presidential elections. Nigerians want to have to choose. You know, just like Femi Falana said, They want to choose who among the oppressors to govern them. Don't deny them that right. And that is up to INEC. INEC has got to be very, very careful how you place that game. Yes, of course, you know, parties may be not as diligent as possible. In APC, there are issues of that lack of diligence in APC. And so it is also in ADC. So we must raise the bar and say that, look, what is important is that we want a contest. We want a contest. We said before, you remember, Kayla, that we don't want somebody to do a coup to remove the president. No. We want there to be an election. Now, INEC should not prevent that competition to happen.
Since you brought up INEC, the credibility of our INEC chairman.
Yeah.
And you know why this is, and I think I said it here during the week, why this is particularly troubling is that this is coming before the elections. Typically, it's after the election that we start to look at the credibility of it. But before the election, and he says it's not him. I think, well, looking at it from how people online are talking about the INEC chairman, it does feel like many people don't believe him when he says it wasn't him that made those tweets. And it's bringing a bigger question in my head. So as we are now, we don't know if we'll be appointed one day as INEC chairman. The things I said online, should I be worried about those things being something that will stop me from entering into that office? Should my partisanship only begin when I am made INEC chairman, or should I be planning it my whole life? I mean, what do you make of this situation?
So that is why in the Constitution, even though I would have preferred a situation where the president does not have a hand at all
in the nomination,
which is what the commission that former President Yaradua, God bless his soul, that was the commission I set up. That was what they recommended. Now, we don't want the president doing that stuff. By the way, now people like David Mark and Atiku and Tambuwa, they seem to now buy that logic. But those were the same people who, when they were in office, did not make it happen. That's a different point. But coming back to the issue of the INEC chairman and his credibility, I think Professor Joash Amukpiton must make a statement today to say that what Mr. Akpabio said yesterday or 2 days ago, that is not correct. Because Akpabio said publicly that was Amukpiton's handle.
And the way he said it, he said victory is sure. Wouldn't there be victory at the end of the election?
Yeah,
so now they're like, oh, you think it's him who said that?
Yes. So people inside this government, represented by Akpabio, who has now spoken publicly, have now given us a hint that Mr. Amukpiton, Professor Amukpiton, and I'm very sorry to say this, is a liar. He's a liar. And I don't think that him saying that victory is sure, I don't think that one is so much a problem. But to now say that that is not his handle.
And to change the name.
When we have the digital print.
I think
and now Akpabio has come to the open to say that what Amukpiton said. I mean, so I am very disappointed at the level that that Mr. Amukpiton will go to keep this job.
Somebody should be fired. The person who changed that, if really, because, well, an inquiry is on. Let's be fair. There's an inquiry going on right now.
Who is doing the inquiry?
INEC.
No, INEC cannot inquire
on INEC. It's the strangest dynamic, I know, but an inquiry is on right now. But I feel like someone should be fired. The person who changed, if that inquiry comes out and it's actually Professor Joash Amukpiton that owned that X account, the person that changed the name, not knowing that your digital footprint stays regardless of whether you change the name of the account or not. That's basic, isn't it?
I think it was very careless of Professor Amukpiton and his handlers to have issued that press statement. It was needless. All you needed to do was to just stay cool, so that you don't have to go out and tell a lie. Look, and let's say this for all spokespersons publicly. When you can't say the truth, you can shut up, okay? Because when you say a lie, when you speak speak out falsehood, somebody someday is going to find out. And this was what I adopted. If I can't tell the truth, I'm going to shut up. And Kayla is going to be running after me. I'm going to try and see how much of Kayla I can avoid. so that I don't have to tell that the chairman of INEC
that brought back a lot of memories just now.
Exactly.
I'm chasing you around.
Exactly. INEC had no business issuing that statement. They were supposed to just keep quiet because from all indications, that was Amupiton's handle.
Well, let's wait for the inquiry.
Has told us now that it is.
Let's wait for the inquiry to
come up.
Ayo has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
I will leave both of you to the INEC chairman and the conversation the two of you have been having. As Mr. Akonde has proposed, I will shut up on that one. But there's something troubling, Laulu. We are media men. And the insecurity taking place all over the nation is definitely very, very disheartening. For a pressman to have to report the same thing over and over again, very, very disheartening. But then there was an interview we conducted on our sister program on Saturday, 2 Saturdays back. We were speaking with one of the authors of the Global Terrorism Index. And we were asking him, what's the source of the information that they put together to form the Global Terrorism Index? And one of the things that he said to me is the reason I'm asking you this question, that the media reportage is a major source of gathering information about Global Terrorism Index, particularly as it concerns countries, and it also informs the rating of those countries. So what's your take on that? Because there are those who have said that on the one hand, we have a responsibility as media men to report everything that is happening in the country as much as we can. On the other hand, is the image that whatever job we're doing is giving the country at the same time. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a catch-22, and even maybe was a dilemma for those of us in the media, because we want to be very, very careful of what we report, to be sure that it's accurate, and also to reflect our country, our beloved country, in good light. But we really don't have much of a choice, because ultimately you need to reflect exactly what it is that is happening. So the media is a mirror. We don't make those things happen, okay? We reflect the reality. And part of what I have seen, while I'm answering your question, Ayo, is that the consistency and the persistence of these killings and this violence and this banditry and this terrorism is beginning to lower the level of our humanity, if there's anything like that. We are becoming desensitized because it is now happening so regularly. The outrage is not as strong as it ought to be. It was why, in some of our own editions in Inside Sources, we started to call out the names of the victims so that Nigerians can be reminded that these are also human beings. They have aspirations, they had ambitions, they have families. Some of them wanted to marry, go into business, go to school. So ultimately, to answer your question, Hayot, the media has to do its job. The question is up to the Nigerian people and our leaders to put an end to this this menace which has continued to reflect badly on all of us, government and people of Nigeria.
There's also this, still on that same matter, but perhaps a different perspective. You recall that a list of about 48 people was released recently as the list of the terrorism funders in the country. Now we have names, not just of the victims that you put out, but of people who are funding the problem. I'm wondering, one of the questions that was asked on our sister station by a guest was, okay, so now we have the list. How many of them have been arrested? How many of them have been put in jail? Where are they? Those questions are still being asked. I wonder why, Mr. Akonde.
Yeah, very important question. And the other question is also that those names that we've seen, for the most part, you know, we don't know anything about them. Who are these people? What are their profiles? You know, are they fronts for other people? You know, so it is good that the names have been released, but we need to have the profile of these people. Who are they? And then, of course, you know, take them to court. You know, the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Prince Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, has done a good thing by doing this mass trial of suspects. But we haven't seen the financiers in court. We haven't seen the commanders of terrorism and the violence, the big players. We haven't seen them. So those names that we've seen, take them to court and then give us more information. Who are these people? And by the way, if they are fronts, suspected to be fronts for some other people, let us know who they are. That is how the name and shame can work. If the names of the people are not known, you know, if we don't have their profile, if you don't know who they are really, then it may not have the impact of the name and shame that it ought to have, so that we can begin to pick up the pieces of our lives again as a nation and people.
After all, there is more than one Ayo Makinde and there is more than one Laolu Akande, so we really need to know which of them is the one fomenting the trouble according to the list that's been released. Now, these questions that I asked Mr. Akande are against the backdrop of what the President of the Senate said, that sometimes insecurity spikes when elections are approaching. It's a fact we have seen over time, but then it's the lives of our people that we are putting in jeopardy in the name of wanting to get to power by all means. Is there a way you think we can disconnect insecurity from election? Maybe by, I don't know, make it a little less attractive to get into politics?
Yeah, I mean, first, I thank you for asking that question. I think it's important for us to say that the remark that was made by the President of the Senate is not, I don't think is very, very good, you know, to speak like that, even if that were correct, you know, because it doesn't inspire hope, it doesn't inspire confidence, it doesn't inspire any realization of the fact that the people in government know what they are doing. Because you are saying that you know the people that are fomenting this trouble, and you even know why they are fomenting the trouble, but you haven't gone after them. I mean, if there are people that you know for political reasons are doing these things, Mr. Pabio, what you should be telling us is that these people are being dealt with and this is what is happening. It is a very reckless statement, with due respect, Senate President, for you to speak like that. It's completely irresponsible. It doesn't portray you as the #3 man of Nigeria, as somebody that cares about the feelings of Nigeria, of Nigerians. And this level of insensitivity and being careless about what you say, what you tell Nigeria, it has to stop. And I think the way to start is for the Senate President to make a serious statement to say that these and these and these are the people involved, and this is how we are going after them. What laws are you making in the Senate to go after those people? How are you working with the executive arm of government to go after these people? It is completely useless of you telling us, you know, that this is connected to the elections, and then we all sit back, and then we continue to suffer.
He said 2 weeks after the election, just watch, there'll be no more insecurity.
I think it's a joke taken too far.
And, you know, I know that he was saying it in jest, and everyone was laughing, and he has a tendency, really, the Senate President, to be a jokester somewhat, and I get the mood of it, but... And I know that his aides right now will be telling him, no, sir, you were saying it in jest, they're making him out. No, the idea is you're supposed to be a little bit more careful, considering the times that we're in. Nigeria. Because people have been dying every day.
Can you imagine?
We have been having attacks every single day. So, you know, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know how he's going to bounce back from that, but I think he'll be fine. Speaking of people that need bouncing back, our security chiefs. I think what happens with insecurity in Nigeria is that we report when the bad things happen, don't we?
Yeah.
We show it all. People were killed here, in Jili Market, and here and here. But and I think I follow the armed forces, and they do precision strikes almost every single day. But those aren't as publicized as the attacks by terrorists. But is there some kind of accountability that we should demand from our security chiefs right now?
Yeah, I think the president has a duty to do that. We don't have all the information, but what we see is that just like Governor Zulum, said this. I mean, many of these things, we are not the ones saying it. We are just highlighting it. Governor Zulum said, I think yesterday, that the death of General Brimo was avoidable. That's the governor of the state.
Oh, well, go back to Kebbi. Remember the Kebbi governor?
And then the Kebbi governor too said that 45 minutes before
that they were withdrawn. Nothing has happened after that.
Yeah. So these are the things that we know that bothers us, that what is going on. Somebody ought to be taking the fall for these things. But we don't see any heads rolling. The president, I imagine, knows exactly what he's doing. But the president must understand that even for the purposes of public trust and his own credibility, he must impose consequences for all of these things that is going on in our country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Laola Conde, former presidential aide and presenter of Inside Sources right here on Channels Television.
Thank you so much.
That's our time this morning. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your morning. And Kayla Megwa, have a great day ahead.
Business Morning is on the hour. Get to it. I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your day.